Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm here, and this is your pal Rob in real time. I'm here to address to you what's going on. Today I'm going to do a short review of this kind of entertaining movie I saw online on Redbox, and that's how I've been streaming a lot of my movies through Redbox. And if it's free, then there's no risk in watching the movie. But on some movies, you kind of, when they ask for you an admission price, you kind of like hesitant to. So like I picked a movie where it's kind of like I had like a kind of like I missed like those old Hong Kong Jackie Chan type movies. Now if you're a fan of Jackie Chan and those kinds of great old Hong Kong action movies. There's a new one that came out in 2020 starring I believe the actor's name is, let me look my notes, I believe his name is Donnie Yen. So Donnie Yen, and you've seen him in a lot of other films, and it's called Enter. It's a knockoff, and it's also a remake. So it's a parody. So think of it as a parody of the original Enter the Dragon, but this is called Enter the Fat Dragon. And actually this film is actually remade. The original Enter the Fat Dragon, from what I got from my notes, was originally shot in 1978, and that movie I'm really interested in going back and seeing. But the one I rented and I'm doing the review on is the current 2020 remake. So I might want to go back and actually review that old kung fu movie, because from what I saw from the previews, it's really pretty interesting and cool. Just so I can kind of show you and compare to you the clips and such. Our star here is Donnie Yen, and of course it's a 1978 remake of the original Enter the Fat Dragon. Without giving you too much detail on the story, because I don't want to spoil the story, it's a basic like police story where it's a Hong Kong detective who was really good at his job, overachiever, super cop, kind of like in like many of the Jackie Chan movies you saw over the years. If you like martial arts movies and you've seen, then you know who Jackie Chan is. So I call him Chunky Chan. This is like Donnie right here is playing like this is Chunky Chan, you know. So that's how I'm calling it, our Chunky Chan here. And he go, like a typical MacGuffin. There's our protagonist gets entangled in this mess. He somehow gets involved with this he tries to stop, because he's an officer. He tries to prevent it, and he gets in hot water. So there's like some kind of problem that happens where he loses his rank, and then he's in a place that he doesn't want to be. So he gets demoted, and he's pretty much at a place he doesn't want to be in life. So where the movie takes place, or the setting of the film takes place, is in Hong Kong. That's the major city that it takes place. It's one of the locations. The other place is Tokyo, Japan. So that's the other setting. So it's pretty much kind of like a little bit of it's a story that takes place between China and Japan, and some story between the Triad and the Yakuza. So it's kind of like one of them crime kind of stories. Now, this movie reminds me a lot of, like I said, a Jackie Chan film, and it has fast fighting and kind of quick elements, a lot of like blocking and the usual kung fu sound effects and all that. But has a lot of comedic elements, so it's kind of fun. It does it in all good. It kind of pokes fun at itself. It's not to be taken seriously, Detective, he's like the super detective. He's a bit of an overachiever. and you can see how he when you're watching the movie, you can see how he kind of drives everybody crazy with his crazy antics, because he doesn't do things by the book, and like what other regular officers do. He's an overachiever, so that's how he got himself into trouble, because of that overachieving attitude, which is not a bad thing. He's just very driven, you know. You need driven people to make positive changes in the world, you know. Here we go. And so, like I mentioned, Jackie Chan, if you like any of his films, this movie, and even the original, pays homage to the original Bruce Lee. Both of these characters in both versions, I believe, respected Bruce Lee. But in Donnie Yen's case, playing his character, Fallon Zhu, he just watches it through media. So he's watching Blu-rays, and he just loves watching these kung fu movies on the background in his apartment. That's kind of like one of the interesting things I've noted about this character. So because of his overachieving ways, we've finally run into a major problem, a character flaw, and this is good for character development. Our boy runs into a problem, a setback, and I mentioned it earlier, and it takes him to a place where he then, like what happens to people in real life, when you get a setback in real life, and then you kind of been set aside and demoted or sidelined, your ego takes a hit, you lose your confidence, and then this is where I kind of relate to this Fallon Zhao character. You see the character transform. So this is where I kind of relate with this character, Fallon Zhao. Like, aside from the kung fu stuff, I'm not that flexible, or I'm not that super acrobatic. But I understand like how he ended up to that place, because before I didn't look like this all my life. The same can be said about Fallon Zhao. He let himself go. So this movie has a lot of great fight scenes. There's like a few of them are like a fish market fight scene that's really, really clever. And I can't tell you too much of the story, because it'll kind of reveal the plot, and I kind of want you guys to see it. That's the point of me doing reviews. When I review movies, I don't like to just slam them and get you to detract and not watching them. If I saw it, I want you to see it too. So I just recommend stuff. I do most part recommend stuff more than try to detract. You know, there's a lot of other movie reviewers that are there that will detract on movies, and you know, deservingly so. But I don't get a chance to review every movie under the sun, so I'm not like a full-time film critic. I kind of just do this for fun, you know. So that's my take on this. Also, there's like another great fight scene. Another fight scene you want to see is when they're one of the things that happens to our Fallon Zhao is he becomes he gets a second opportunity. So without giving away too much, so he just kind of escorting him back and giving him to the Japanese authorities. You can kind of put that in your head together. So you know, while he's there, he's getting into antics. So he's in Japan, and now he's getting into antics, and he gets into trouble. And there's of course more fight scenes, of course. And one of the best fight scenes in the movie, the film, which I am going to do a direct side-by-side comparison of, is Rush Hour 2. There's the Eiffel Tower scene in Rush Hour 2 with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, and they kind of do the same thing here, and it's very, very funny. So it's funny in another way, but but this is apparently Japan has this huge radio tower that looks similar to the Eiffel Tower. So for the big final boss fight, there's a there's a radio tower in Japan. It's like red and white, so it stands out in Tokyo when you see that scene. That being said, I'm just kind of going over my notes real quick. Now, oddly enough, what you're gonna notice is so all this movie is all subtitled along the way. So this is a subtitled movie, but they do speak English. Now the funny thing is, in this movie, when you see Fallon Zhao get to Japan and he speaks to the Japanese people, instead of speaking to them in Japanese, the intermediary language they're using is English. So they're speaking to each other in English. So, in Hong Kong, they're speaking, I guess some kind of Mandarin or Chinese, some kind of Chinese. And then in Japan, they're speaking Japanese amongst themselves. But then when the Chinese people are interacting with the Japanese people in Tokyo, you have them using the go-to English language as to kind of like fill in the gaps so they can understand each other. So that's kind of interesting there. Part of the fun is watching the gut on this guy and just kind of like this out of shape, slobbish looking dude do these acrobatics, which we know it's kind of tongue in cheek. And thing is, they do show you the character. They found out when he was in shape and that he can do all this crazy stuff before. Now the ability of how high the guy can jump and all of that, well, physics go out the window here. So it's just roll with it, guys. Just put your brain at the door because, hey, it's just like, it's a kung fu movie. I mean, they're talking about like these crazy martial acrobatic moves, so none of it really is like actual fighting, And like I mentioned, the fight in the Tokyo Tower is probably one of the best. I think it's pretty good, but I think my favorite fight scene was when they were fighting on the rooftop. Fighting on the rooftop, there was a lot of good physics and kind of interesting set prop improvisations when they're doing the choreographing. Anyways, guys, so my overall rating on this movie, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. It's not terrible. Is it great? It's not gonna be one of the greatest kung fu movies, but it's one to sit back and relax and just just put your brain at the door, just kind of like suspension of disbelief, and just enjoy. Just eat popcorn and don't think about it. It's entertainment. It's fun. It has a good, nice little story arc, and you can relate to some people can relate to this Fallon Zhao character, and also he has this interesting love interest with this character. It's called Chloe. Who's kind of like an actress who's always kind of like her career's messed up in Hong Kong, and she somehow ends up in Tokyo, Japan too. So that's part of the story with Fallon Zhao kind of ending up in Japan, but he kind of finds out about it later, kind of like in a serendipitous way. So it was an interesting watch. I do recommend checking it out if you do see it. Would I recommend buying it? I don't know. That really is, if you are a hardcore kung fu fan and you love watching these kung fu movies, then I say why not? You probably have a bunch of them that are kind of like on the low budget kind of weird side, but the fight scenes are great. Some people excuse that stuff, or anything like that. So I think you can even show it to some kids. I think it's maybe PG or maybe PG-13. Let me check the rating on it. Oh no, actually, that's right. This movie was not rated, and it just came out just before the pandemic, so it was a 2020 release. Besides that, guys, thank you for sticking around. And I've been up in the balcony here for a little while now, and time for me to close up the theater. So see you again. So next time, this is Rob in Real Time, and I'll see you next time with another movie review. And I hope the theaters open up soon, because I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. Please like and subscribe, leave comments below. If you see this movie, tell me what you think, and just leave a comment. I'm always, right now, I don't have a lot of feedback from people, so, I do answer. I'm at the point where I can answer all comments, which I do. So I'm pretty good at. Maybe I'll get back to you in like a week or a couple of days. I'm in between that, but I do get back to you. So all right, guys. So and please share, and if you like this video, share it with others. It helps. I guess when this video gets seen or something. So all that algorithm stuff they loves to do. But I know I'm not for everybody. I'll see you next time here at Rob in Real Time, and I hope to bring with you something else in the future, really soon, a lot sooner than last time. Okay, guys, bye.